So I'm here at the Boeing Everett Factory, and we're going to do a factory tour today. We're also going to check out the future of flight. I'm going to show you as much as I can about this experience. Let's jump into it. Located in the city of Everett, this giant Boeing factory is officially known as the Everett Production Facility. The main building is 4.3 million square feet, and being 114 feet tall, it makes out to be roughly 472 million cubic feet. While there are larger buildings in the world by square footage, this particular building has the Guinness World Record for being the largest building in the world by volume. Tours of the factory were closed for a couple of years, but they're back open, and it's the only place in North America where you can watch wide-body jets being made up close. A bit of a spoiler here, Boeing mentioned numerous times that there were no cameras allowed whatsoever, and this makes sense since they have commercially sensitive production, not to mention their military arrangements. So instead of risking being sent to Guantanamo Bay, I licensed a video which shows the inside. And while some of the footage is stock, I also took a ton of other areas, and I have some cool map animations as well. And I'll share my experience going through the factory and tell you what you could look forward to if you do it yourself. So you start by going to the Future of Flight building, which has an interactive museum, a cafe, and a gift shop. This is where you start the tour as well. You can buy tickets in advance online, which I would definitely recommend, or you can take your chances by trying to buy tickets in person. So before you even go on the factory tour, they show you a presentation about the history of Boeing in a small movie theater of sorts. And it was actually a really good movie, unlike some of the dry ones that you might expect. Very well done. Well worth sitting through it, which you don't really have a choice anyways, but it was actually a good production and you learn a lot about the history of Boeing before going on the factory tour. After that, you're led to a bus, which takes you on a short drive to the factory itself. Once we got to the building, we were led underground to a tunnel beneath the factory floor. The tunnels were built to keep the massive factory floor clear of clutter, so instead of forklifts and carts weaving through jet assembly lines, most utilities, parts movement, and even people flow happen below ground. It's an elaborate network of tunnels, and in total, it's over 2.3 miles of tunnel network. From there, we took an elevator ride to a designated area that overlooked two of the bays. The space where we get up to is located between bays 5 and 6, and my guess is it was around 70 feet up, so it gives you a great view of the factory. I confirmed with the tour guide that any reference to the size of the building is only these 6 giant bays, and I asked a lot of other questions as well, which were very specific to the building when everyone wanted to talk about the airplanes. It looks like each bay had a craneway running the width of the building, each with a 40-ton capacity. That's just the main building too, as there are numerous other buildings that I mentioned on site that are involved in the overall production, but the star of the show is definitely the factory itself. One thing I noticed is that the truss system holding up the roof was roughly 30 feet tall itself. So while the building is 114 feet tall, the clear ceiling height is closer to 84 feet tall. Again, that's probably a nerd thing for industrial real estate nerds like myself. By comparison, a typical warehouse might have a 4-foot truss system, and another way of looking at it is that you could put a normal warehouse with 30-foot ceilings within the rafters of the Boeing factory. And aside from some ducting, I didn't really see anything the space could be used for. So it might be a bit of a misnomer to say this is the largest building by volume when 25% of the building isn't actually usable. But I digress. This building is very, very impressive. The tour is roughly 80 minutes long, and it includes a short drive around the other industrial buildings on site. Unless you know what you're looking at, there really isn't a whole lot to see, but it is interesting seeing how big the campus is itself. Boeing knows what they're doing, and when the tour ends, they direct you through the gift shop where overzealous tourists like myself can buy all sorts of Boeing merchandise. Another cool part of the experience is getting a front row view of airplanes arriving and departing from the airstrip in between the factory and the Future of Flight. That's because the Boeing factory is adjacent to Payne Field, and this is an active runway, and if you book a half hour or 45 minutes, just sit there, you'll catch all sorts of cool planes coming very, very close. So after doing some plane spotting, we headed back to the Future of Flight Museum. This 73,000 square foot building is aviation geek heaven and features interactive exhibits ranging from engines to future aerospace tech. There's also an observation deck, which has a slightly better view of Payne Field, but I think both are worth doing. The future of flight is good. There was another one that we did in Seattle as well, which I actually thought was better. I got some footage of that one as well, so I'll try to make a separate video for that one if you want to stay tuned for that. But overall, 10 out of 10 on the factory. It is world class, one of my favorite buildings that I've ever done, and I would highly recommend going to it. Thanks for watching if you stayed around this long, and I'll catch you in the next video.